Darrell Jazz Johnson here with ESPN's own Stephen A. Smith. Stephen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How y'all doing?
Good, thanks. Phil Jackson, you're the one that broke the rumor that the Knicks were talking to him. Just one in a number of stories that you've broken throughout your career. What are your thoughts on Phil Jackson taking the job as president of the New York Knicks?
The bottom line is that he's an 11-time champion. He's been to the finals 13 out of his 20 seasons as a coach. He's never had a losing record. To say that his resume is illustrious does it no justice whatsoever. He's as elite as they come in the game today. And no matter what we may think about the Knicks from time to time based on the kind of season that they've had, there's no getting around the fact that this is a move in a positive direction. We have to concede that. And that as much as we want to talk about the New York Knicks doing something wrong, in the interest of fairness, we have to give them credit where credit is due and acknowledge that in this particular instance, they've done something right. So whether it's Mr. Dolan and Steve Mills, is whomever, in the end, Phil Jackson is running basketball operations for this franchise. He is now the official face of this franchise. Mr. Dolan is on the record saying that he has been given complete autonomy over basketball operations. And for the moment anyway, we're going to take him at his word. Look at it as a positive thing and go from there, because the reality of the situation is clear. There's nowhere to go but up.
What type of message does this send to Carmelo Anthony, NBA players, NBA organizations, that when Phil Jackson is the face of the franchise?
Well, it does say that the New York Knicks are serious about moving in a positive and forward direction. You don't pay a man $12 million a year to be president of basketball operations when the average salary for that position in the NBA is $2.3 million if you're not serious about moving in a forward direction. The New York Knicks have made the financial commitment and the financial investment to better themselves, and there is no doubt that the Knicks are a better organization today than they were yesterday because they got Phil Jackson. However, there's still a lot of work to be done. That's part one. Part two is getting a coach. Part three is accumulating and basically designing a staff that shows how serious they are, and then of course convincing Carmelo Anthony to stay, which I believe is a long shot. If you're able to pull that off, then the combination of having Carmelo here with Phil Jackson, I think, could be a very attractive proposition for a lot of prospective free agents out there. But it has to come to that. That's what it has to be in order for this organization to be what they aspire to be and what we aspire for them to be. So time will tell. It's not going to happen overnight. We just need to hope that next season is better than this season was, so you're not asking the city of New York to wait an additional year and a half before they get themselves together and be respectable. We're hoping that it's a hell of a lot sooner than that, specifically next year.
What type of effect can the Phil Jackson hiring have on the 2013-2014 Knicks?
Well, none, because this is the 2013-2014 Knicks, and as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he's here means absolutely nothing right now. The trading deadline has expired. The coach is going to be here until the end of the season. The players are going to be here until the end of the season. They were on a 6-game winning streak before he arrived, so they are what they are, and you're just going to have to deal with it from that perspective and go from there. But I do believe that it will have a profound effect on next season. I do believe it'll have a profound effect on the offseason to come, because guys that were lollygagging around, not doing what they were supposed to do, not maintaining discipline, putting themselves in compromising positions that end up leading to suspensions and things of that nature, I think they're wise enough to know that that kind of stuff is not going to be tolerated any longer. And so as a result, people are going to have to fly straight, do what they're supposed to do, get their acts together. You're not going to hear about guys going through divorces after they're getting arrested and not letting anybody know about it beforehand. None of that stuff is going on. Remember, with Raymond Felton, nobody's knocking that. Personal business is personal business, and all of us go through it in our lives, and we understand the trials and tribulations. But for members of the New York Knicks organization to not even know that that was going on in his life, he dropped the ball and they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball because they didn't know. He dropped the ball because he didn't find it within his heart to let them know that he was a bit distracted and unfocused at times. And the reasons why, I think when you're paying a guy millions of dollars, you owe them that. And so from that perspective, all of those kind of things, I think that an elite organization makes sure it corrects. And I think that Phil Jackson is the kind of individual that will correct that stuff, because he's going to know when guys are not on their game, and he's going to know why.
Final question. Team that the New York Knicks are playing have the best record in the Eastern Conference. the Indiana Pacers. What are your thoughts on the Pacers?
The Pacers are clearly one of the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers clearly are destined to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, barring some kind of unforeseen, unimaginative hiccup. They and the Miami Heat are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. It's just that simple. The Pacers are too big, too strong, too young, too deep, and too hungry to lose to anybody but Miami in the Eastern Conference in these playoffs. So the New York Knicks going up against them in the midst of a 6-game winning streak, trying to find whatever it takes to continue their winning ways so they can possibly sneak in the playoffs as an 8th seed. They're going to have their work cut out for them tonight, because no matter who they've beaten over the last 6 games, they have not been the Indiana Pacers. Now, they didn't look that way when they lost 4 straight, but they certainly look that way now that they've won 4 straight. And so we'll see what happens. But, again, the New York Knicks are going to have a tough challenge like anybody would, because the Pacers are clearly one of the best teams in the NBA.
Thank you very much for your time, as always.
Thank you.